Alright, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to Real Madrid Hub again. I'm your host, Dr. Jota, and in this longer video, we will be talking about CAMVINGA and his style of play and how the French player is, allegedly going to play in Real Madrid, because, it doesn't make any sense to keep talking about Kylian Mbappe when we already know the end. And to me, it is even more important to keep looking forward and looking ahead and, trying to predict how the new French player of Real Madrid, how the new player of Real Madrid will play or might play in Real Madrid, because it is not really clear if Carlo Ancelotti will count on him since the very beginning. If you think about it, we have Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, Isco Alarcón, Fede Valverde, and all of them, in my opinion, are important enough for Carlo Ancelotti to feature them in every single lineup and starting 11 every single weekend. But keeping in mind, Eduard Camavinga is one of the most promising players in Europe. I would say Carlo Ancelotti might use the player, maybe not every once in a while, but maybe very often. I don't know. The thing is, in this video, we will be analyzing how the French player plays and what he has done in Rennes over the last 3 seasons, and we will see how he has been evolving in his positions in Rennes and the French soccer league and all the stuff, and how it might impact to his style of play in Real Madrid. For example, let's go to transfer market so we can see how this player has been, developing his career. If you see here in the season 18-19, still with 16 years old, he was a very, very young player, and he was pretty much playing in the position of defensive midfielder, right? As you can see here, the player played about 90 games in that position. So he pretty much started in more defensive positions and roles, and when he first started to play in the Ligue 1 in France, and he has been evolving to more forward positions like we are going to see now in this last season in Rennes. But season 18-19, as you can see here, he played 88 games, he scored 2 goals, and he assisted 5 times, playing in the defensive midfielder role, or whatever you want to call it. In Spanish we call it pivote, but it's pretty much the same position, right? We have to Casemiro in that position right now, and the good news for Real Madrid is just because Camavinga is now, the last season he played more like central midfielder. That is good news for Real Madrid, because it is not going to be any kind of conflict with Casemiro, because they are actually playing right now in different positions, right? So let's click here and let's see the 19-20 season, and we will see how Camavinga is still playing in that position as defensive midfielder, where he played about 34 games and he scored 1 goal. But during this season, I think that the coach noticed that the player is a much better player in creation, in carrying the ball up and taking the ball up all the way to the attack, much more versus defensive, tasks and defensive positions and defensive roles. Because although he's still a very good defensive midfielder and stuff, and he can, cut off the counterattack of the rivals and stuff like that, to me, it is much better in creation. He has a lot of creativity when he has to carry up the ball, and is very soft guy. It is not the box-to-box player like Fede Valverde or Paul Pogba, but when he has to distribute and, when he has to create, when he has to take the ball and pass it, before to do any of those things, he look up and scan the different options that he has ahead of him, and he normally decides the best choice for him, right? So in my opinion, in Rennes, he noticed, and the coach noticed as well, that he's a much better player when he has to share the ball and pass the ball and decide, and the decision-making process, it is much more similar to a creative player than to a defensive player. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's why in this last season in Rennes, he has been playing, like we will see here, he has been playing more in central midfielder role, in a more forward position, like you can see here. In 2021, last season, he played 34 games in that position, the central midfielder, and only 4 games he played in the defensive midfielder original position, right? So his position, his role in Rennes has been evolving, and right now we have a player, much more creative player, because he has been allowed to do that. He has been allowed to show off his skills and tactics to carry the ball up and look ahead in the decision-making process and be more creative and pass the ball and get away with that and go through the different rival lines and all the stuff. And it's a very quick and speed player as well, which is of course very helpful when it comes to go through the defenders or opponents or rival lines and stuff like that. So to me, it's a very good evolution, and to me, he's going to provide to Real Madrid with a figure that Real Madrid really doesn't have, because Fede Valverde is a more box-to-box player, and Luka Modric, that'd be, I mean, it is definitely not the same player as Eduardo Camavinga. It's a more attacking midfielder. Toni Kroos, it is actually not the similar either, because if you think about it, Toni Kroos is more long ball passes. I mean, he has a lot of precision in that stuff, giving super long passes, but it's not, I mean, he doesn't carry the ball up as good as Camavinga does. So it is still different, right? Isco Alarcón is definitely not the same player either. I mean, Isco Alarcón is more, yeah, it is creative as well, but it's more attacking, you know, can be, you know, as the, I mean, he can play in positions like even second striker, a little bit more backer, you know, not as forward, but a little bit like that, you know. So it is not definitely like any other, even similar to any other Real Madrid player that we own so far right now. So it is a completely different player. I mean, if Camavinga had been player in the same position, in the defensive midfielder position, he would never sign, in my opinion, for Real Madrid, because we already have players for that position. If you think about it, Casemiro, Antonio Blanco, they are players, more defensive midfielders than any other stuff. But for example, Casemiro is not able to carry the ball up like Camavinga does. Antonio Blanco either. Maybe Antonio Blanco is a little bit more similar, but it's still not the same, right? So to me, the most valuable asset Camavinga is going to deliver in Real Madrid is that, to be able to carry the ball up, and not only to help in the defense, but also to get the ball, pass the ball, make the right choices, make the right decisions before to pass anybody, look up and see which player is the best position to receive the ball, and then pass it to that player, right? So it is still a very unique player in Real Madrid. So that's why, along with the numbers, along with the price we have paid for him, in my opinion, that's why it is a very good move. It has been actually a very good move, a very good signing for Real Madrid, because it is actually cheap. I mean, if you think about it, according to Transfer Market, this player is worth 60 million euros, right? And we have paid about 30 to 45. So it is still a very good price. It's still a very good player. And to me, it has been a very smart move from Real Madrid. And I'm looking forward to see him on the field. But let me tell you what, we have plenty of midfielders right now in Real Madrid. So it is going to be a very tough and difficult decision for Carlo Ancelotti, because he will have to sacrifice to someone. And who are you going to sacrifice to? I mean, you have to Fede Valverde, which is very good player. You also have to Luka Modric. You also have to Toni Kroos. You also have even to Isco Arcon, who is doing a very good season, a very good, games. So I don't know what is he going to do. But of course, if you sign to Eduard Camavinga, is for being in the lineup. I mean, he's a very good player. He's young though, but he's still a very valuable player. And to me, he can be featured in every single starting 11 or lineup every single weekend. So let's see what happens. But this is pretty much what he's going to provide with to Real Madrid. So now let me know your thoughts about that. Just comment in the section below. And of course, subscribe my channel, Real Madrid Hub.